Hello, welcome to Beyond Academy's College Planning Webinar. Tips for picking a major, securing financial aid, grants, scholarships, and more. We'll begin shortly after the hour, but in the meantime, please go to the link in the chat box to download the important documents that you'll need for today's webinar. We still have a few minutes before we'll start the meeting. While we wait, I'm going to play a short video. This shows some of the leadership activities, community events that our students have participated in during the last year. As many of you know, today's colleges not only look at a student's academia, but they also consider their extracurricular, community services, and leadership, plus so much more. As we help students and families prepare for colleges, we also partner with nonprofit organizations to provide platforms and opportunities for students to develop leadership and community involvement. Hello and welcome. My name is Rosalie, and I'm the Communications Specialist for Beyond Academy. And I'm your moderator. I'm your moderator today. Before we start, let me go over a few things with you today. We'll spend about an hour and a half on today's topic. Today's topic is merely an overview. And if you have specific questions, you may want to ask in the Q&A. However, if you want us to evaluate your specific situation and how we may be able to help you, you'll get a chance to make a free consultation appointment at the end of this session. You may find our messages posted in our chat box. And again, if you have any short Q&A questions, you may use the Q&A box in the Zoom bar throughout the presentation. Our mission is to help students get into the college of their dreams. We believe our students can reach their full potential if we provide the proper guidance and resources for them. Beyond Academy provides guidance on students' majors, career, and college choices, and helps students to prepare for their college applications. Our team is comprised of dozens of experienced college planning advisors. We just showed a few here. They all have master's or above degrees, and collectively, they have over 200 years of experience in the college planning industry. Here lists some of them. Our team is strategically placed all over the country, and we've helped over 3,000 families in the past 8 years. I'm excited to announce today that Dr. Sherry Hugh will be our keynote speaker today. A little bit about Sherry, Dr. Sherry, she is the co-founder and director of Beyond Academy. She is a certified financial planner as well as a certified college funding advisor, which is huge. She and her team have helped over 3,000 families get into their dream colleges. And we're talking top-notch schools like Harvard, Stanford, MIT, Yale, just to name a few. And more importantly, her system and proven track record of success on average has saved families over $83,000 in college costs. Dr. Sherry has a wealth of experience. She is a professor. She's the founder of several companies and nonprofit organizations. She is an elected city council member. She's an Amazon best-selling author in educational funding, as well as a philanthropist and Rotary Club member. So without further ado, I would like to hand this over to Dr. Sherry.
Thank you, Rosalie. Happy Saturday, everyone. As Rosalie just introduced, that we will talk about college planning, and we will actually focus on college funding in today's webinar. And today we actually have a large volume of audience here. I see from the screen like over 352, 53 people here. So before we start, in order to understand our audience a little bit better, let's have a quick survey question. Okay, so on your screen, you see there's a quick question there. When do you think it's the best time to start college planning? It's a middle school or earlier, or any grades in high school? We'll give you 5 more seconds. Just click anything coming into your mind. Oh, all right, please show the result here. Oh, let's take a look. So most people believe middle school or earlier is the right time. And majority of the, I think that's a good answer. I'm so glad to see that. So most people do feel that urgency. So later on, we'll chat about what's the right timing for the college admissions and the college funding. So let's go ahead to jump into our topic today. So we have been doing college planning for many, many years. Our research has told us why everyone today responded to our invitation or referral, and why you are here today, and then why you might take advantage of our free consultation, and then you decided to potentially engage in our services. Here are some top concerns from parents. So not having enough time to stay on top of everything. Who does college planning as a full-time job? I doubt only our team members here today are the ones doing full-time on this. Everybody else have something to do from 9 to 5. The last thing you want to do is probably at night, put on your college admission cap and do hours of research and to choose the right major for your student and to figure out what's the right school for them. Do they have a proper GPA, whether they require SAT or ACT? And how about college visits? How about different deadlines? What's the right time to do those things? I mean, who's excited about that? And also, it's not just about the college admission. We also talk about there's a financial side, right? Which school gave money? What type of money? How much is that? And how much is free? And how much is in the form of loans you have to pay back? And what's the interest rate there? So those kind of things can take a long time to do proper research. And also, there's some knowledge and experiences that you cannot find online. And for parents here who have ever filled out a FAFSA before, have you heard of FAFSA? Right. So it's not overly difficult, right? But there's literally over 100 questions. And that's just for FAFSA. And for some private schools, you do have to file additional form. It's called a CSS, College Scholarship Services Profile Form. And some top-notch private schools like Harvard, Yale, Stanford, they actually have their additional institutional forms that you have to fill out. And if you do not have much experience, those can cause a lot of mistakes to happen. And what about the deadlines? For those families who have been through this process, they probably know for each college, there are 5-6 different deadlines. There are things called ED, early decision, EA, early action, regular applications, rolling application deadlines, and the financial aid deadlines. There's so many things. And think about how many schools your student is applying for. Nowadays, an average student apply for anywhere like 10 to 20 universities. So overall, a student have more than 40 deadlines during the college application process. Wow, 40 deadlines is hard to manage. By the way, do you even know all the schools your child is interested? Just a few days ago, I just heard a student talk to me and they said they wanted to go to the East Coast. By the way, I'm in California and we do have other counselors in the East Coast. So there's a student in California wanted to go to East Coast and their parents do not have ideas about it. And they also talk about those Ivy League schools. The cost can be literally $80,000 per year. So this is kind of like a bittersweet moment, right? If your child really got into an Ivy League like UPenn, Harvard, it's $80,000 per year, and the mom has no idea about it and hasn't really prepared enough money for that. So what do you do at that moment? So those are the frustrations or maybe sweet, bittersweet moments our parents may encounter in the future. And with that said, we actually have some other potential situations here. Many students, they fill out the financial aid forms by themselves. Do your children really know exactly how much money you make and how much money you have in your investment accounts and how much taxes you pay and what's your adjusted gross income? Should they be the one who fill out the forms? No. That's so important. That's how I normally tell our parents. If you don't like your children to do your tax forms, you should not let them do their own college finance. So what really make parents concerned is they might do something wrong. They might cause their students, their family do not get get as much financial aid scholarship as possible, or they might jeopardize their children's chance to get into better universities. One more question. That's the last question for this slide. And who are you here really feel you already have a solid plan for your students' college? And you have anything you know about college admissions and how to pay for it? So we want a solid plan, right? What do you need to do? And what are the choices there? What are the factors you need to go over? So I suspect that's why our parents are here today. We actually already have over 400 audience today here. So just like our children were born, we didn't have a handbook. We need to figure it out along the way. So typically, our oldest child is our guinea pig. And we make all the mistakes with our older children. And then we get better and better with our younger ones. Those kind of process our parents go through. However, college is so important and also too expensive for such a trial and error process. We need to make sure we do it right the first time and always. So without further ado, let's jump into these concerns. So in the photo, you can see parents are asking their child, "Hi, son, what major you want to take? And what kind of career you want to go for?" And the child has no idea about it. Sometimes our children do have good ideas, but we are not so sure that's the right one. Like there's a girl, she wants to be a nurse, but parents think she's really capable of being a doctor. And there's a child play a lot of video games. Maybe he can go to computer science. Is that really video games for computer science? And a lot of parents said, "Oh, my children love art and the music, and they want to go for it. But I'm not so positive about the future career experiences or opportunities for those majors." So those are the things our parents worried about. So totally there's 8 categories, over 1,800 majors. And as parents, we have so many years of experience and we haven't heard all of them. No wonder our children without much experience and they don't know what to do. And just very quickly, and some people choose a major based on their interests. And a lot of people also worried about or think about their future career. They want to think about those job opportunities, employment, and the salary. And some majors are very popular. Probably everybody have heard of that. Computer science, business, engineering, finance. And some are unpopular. People may not think about it. We give a couple examples like anthropology, agriculture, those majors. And many of you may know some majors have a higher unemployment rate. So for example, like a social science, physics, fine arts, which means that they have a harder time to find the jobs. All right, as you can see, we actually have a graph here showing you with higher education, even all the way to doctor's degree. Let me get my pointer here. Okay, so for doctor degree, by the way, more and more students get an advanced degree nowadays. They get a master's degree or doctor degree or higher degrees here. There's a basis for that, right? So as you can see, the higher degrees they get a higher earnings and they have a less unemployment rate. So I'm so glad to find this because I actually have a PhD in engineering. So people call me Dr. Sherry Hu. My last name is Hu. I used to be a professor in a state university. And later on, I started corporate jobs and my own business. So this is my background. So here's some good reasons or bad reasons to choose a major. Let's say some wrong reasons here. Some students said, oh, my parents want me to do this, so I'll just do whatever. And my friends are in this major, sounds pretty cool. And this looks cool on TV, right? I want to try it out. Frankly, I'm too lazy to do research, and I will just choose something. And that's all wrong reasons. There are some right reasons. I really love studying in this field. Pursuing this career seems right for me. I felt that in my heart. And I have many interests. And after doing a lot of research, and I think that's right for me. So those are good reasons. So when you choose a college major, what kind of things you need to go through? You need to figure out what's your interests, right? And also what's your personalities. You want something to fit into your personality. And do you have the required skills for that career? We have like a different people skills, data skills, and the things skills. Like, can you make things? Are you good at like a surgeon? You need to do something, right? Using your hands. So those are the requirements. And also, what's your values? What's your family values? What's your personal values and the cultural values? And also, what's the value of that career can bring to you? Like, what's the economic values there? So those are the things you need to think about. So actually, I put this chart together. That's what you want to figure out. What's your passion? What's your interests and the values? And also, what are the things you are good at? Do you have the skills and the personalities to fit into that career? The next thing you also need to think about is the returns from that career. Either is money returns, right? You got good income, good business opportunity, or good growth, personal growth, good future, or you have a social values from there. Like, I really respect pastors from a church, right? They probably don't get a lot of economic returns, but they do get a lot of social returns, their religious values there. This sounds pretty complicated, right? And we understand, and it's not an easy task, but it's so important. And we do have resources and the tools based on the social science studies, which can help our students to identify their interests and personalities and recommend majors for them to think about, to explore. And hopefully, with the guidance from our counselors and the social science tools, we can be comfortable or be confident in choosing the right direction for your students. So I give a quick example here. So I have this student coming to me when she was a sophomore year. And she didn't have any idea what she wanted to do for the future. She's a good student. She's good at a lot of things. She's straight A students in all the subjects, including the math, science, and history, like very, very well-rounded student. And so we did this test on her. And as you can see, there's actually like over 20 recommendations of a career, I would say just career directions for her to explore. So first one is actuary. So many students haven't really heard of actuary. So actuary is actually expert in insurance industry, in math, finance, this kind of subjects. And rest of the recommendation, not rest, some top recommendations are lawyers. So it sounds like two totally different things. Is that right? So this student, actually in her family, there's no lawyers at all. So she doesn't really know this direction that much. And so we were coaching her to explore different things through gathering the information and try it out, talking to professionals. So finally, I'll just quickly cover the result. So she decided being a lawyer is the right career direction for her. And she just graduated high school, and she's going to college this year. She's pursuing her career in law. So this is a quick example. Okay, let's just switch gear a little bit. So we do have a lot of colleges in America. We are fortunate here. And among them, 2,600 are accredited, have a good reputation there. Actually, I draw a map here. I didn't really draw a map, but I did revise that. It's a very good map. If you can take a picture, I'm happy you can do that, because from the color, you can say there's a lot of university, like a quantity in California, and in East Coast, and then some here, and also in Texas. Florida has some colleges there too. And also there's I put a lot of big name colleges here, as you can see. And for example, I just use Harvard. Everybody knows Harvard. So Harvard University acceptance rate is 5%. That's what we put here. And the annual cost, we call the cost of attendance, COA, including room and board, tuition, room and board, like books, those expenses. It's $76,000 per year. Okay, so that's for Harvard. You can see the acceptance rate very, very small. And that's all like good schools, right? And just say a couple of other schools, like for California, right? UC, University of California, Berkeley, the acceptance rate is 18%. For in-state, cost is like $38,000 per year. Out of state, $69,000 per year. Okay, so this is the cost. So I just want to let people know the acceptance rate here is actually the average. If you are looking for those top or most competitive majors, for example, like a computer science, this number is much smaller. Okay. All right, so how you choose a college? As we talk about, there's over 2,000 accredited colleges. So there's a lot of things to consider, right? What's your educational goals? And what kind of values you are thinking about? You want to choose a career, you want to have a new experience, or you want to go to prestigious schools. There's several different things. And you also need to do self-evaluation for the students, right? So you want them to choose the right fit school for themselves. What's the academic abilities, and what has how well they can study, and they have the skills on the time management, how motivated they are, how can they make decisions, gather information, make new friends. So there's a lot of things to consider. And there's most of the things people already know. Where is the location? How big the size of the school? And it's a big name school or it's a state school. And what's the academic environment there? And what has the majors they offer? What's the cost? Cost become more and more concern of a lot of parents. And are there some religions? Is a religious school there or not? And what kind of student life activities they have? And what's the student experience there? And when the student, a lot of parents right now, they understand they need to visit the college and to understand more about it before they make decisions. But when you visit, do you just go on the campus or you take a tour? What are the things you need to write down? Otherwise, after 10 schools, you probably forget, right? So just a little bit of my family, we actually took a college tour last year. We went to about 15 colleges in the East Coast, all the big name schools, Harvard, Yale, MIT, NYU, all the big name schools. I forgot a lot of them, I have to admit. So that's why it's important to remember, not only take pictures, but also have a structured way to write down the information. Okay, let's look at the SAT, ACT, because we all have heard of that. And it's kind of confusing nowadays because some schools, they do require SAT, ACT, and some schools put it as optional. Some schools do not require it at all. And you probably heard of MIT. MIT actually didn't require SAT during the past like COVID years. Now they brought it back. You have to have this in order to apply for MIT. And how our students prepare for that? How many times they need to take the exams, right? And when is the right time to start the preparation? And what's your targeted school? And how can you get help? So there's a lot of questions. So we always say that it depends, right? Every student is different. Every student can find out what's most fit for their own situations. You just need to make sure you have the reliable, knowledgeable, and accessible resource to make important decisions like that. So there's SAT College Board website. They will give you a lot of information about, when is the time to take exam and how to register. So there are a lot of information there. Another thing parents think about is when is good time and how we visit those colleges. It can be expensive if it's far away, right? So college visit is very important. We want to say that because it's kind of like buying a house. You're about to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and you want to say what it's like. So this is important. But before you visit, you want to have some good ideas. College websites are a good resource for you to get a lot of good information, but don't stop there. There are other things you can use as well. So we put the two websites here, collegetours.com and uvisit.com. So these are two websites. Literally, they have spent millions of dollars to give you the best free virtual college tours. And they also use some newest technology like a virtual reality to enhance your overall experience. So you can use them from your own home and get good ideas of those schools and then target a few to really do a campus visit. Okay, as we just talked about, one of our top concerns is the college costs, right? And this will be our focus from now on. So more specifically, how we are going to pay for anywhere from $100,000 to $300 per student for their college. So we already talked about what's included in the cost of attendance. It's a tuition fees, books, room and board, lab expenses, right? It's everything but except your pizza money, drinking money. So the cost of attendance varies. And they actually increase pretty quickly. On average, it's increased faster than the inflation. As you know, like the inflation during the past year is crazy. It's like 8%. So you can expect more or at least not less than that for the college costs. By the way, if you take those schools, which is, for example, like a University of California, we kind of gave a cost when you have a big picture. It's like $37,000 per year if you are in state. If you are out of state, it's like $60,000. So many students or parents, they think they will graduate in 4 years, right? You think 4 years is the right number? Okay, so I will tell you the national average for a student to finish 4-year bachelor degree is actually 5.8 years. That's average. So if your student take longer time, or if she or he didn't get the right major and they switch around, that could be much longer than 4 years. So with that said, you will spend more cost on that. And for big name schools like Stanford, Harvard, each year is like $80,000, right? So you multiply how many years you go to there and multiply how many numbers of children you have. A lot of families have 2 children and 3 or even more. So as you see, this can become a bigger financial problem than your mortgage, right? And you have a significantly less time to pay for it. And when you put all the kids through the college, you are closer to your retirement age. You don't want to jeopardize your retirement income. So there's a lot of things our parents are facing. It's tough. Does this resonate with anybody who's watching today? So this will be the topic we will focus on. So if that's not why you come to our webinar today, you may leave now, right? So because we will focus on the finance problem from now on. So I have asked my colleague Adam from the College Authority to specially prepare some very good information and recommendation for you, and we'll play it and then we'll discuss about it. So we'll just play this information for you.
So let's get into some myth versus reality. I make too much money. I'm not going to qualify for financial aid. Myth or reality? To me, that's a myth, guys. But if you go to the soccer game, talk to the other parents, or go to the coffee pot at work, talk to one of your coworkers who did this a couple years ago, be careful. If you talk to your brother or your sister, you don't really know how smart their child is or how well they did or their financial picture. Be careful what other people say. Oh, they're not going to get this or you're not going to get that. It's all dependent, but a generalized statement, it doesn't matter how much money you make. You can make $10 or $10 million. You still can get financial aid. And again, don't forget, not all financial aid is grants. Some financial aid are low cost, very low interest rate loans that I was talking about, could come from the federal government or even state government. There's different ways to do this. Another one's my child's not a great student, so we're not getting any financial aid. Is that a myth or reality? Again, a myth. Yeah, so you know what the bigger issue is? Can your child get accepted to the colleges they're applying to? So this is not just a financial aid or how to pay for it conversation. This is actually really admissions, a student services conversation. Are they taking their ACT or SAT seriously enough? Because those tests can be worth thousands of dollars of financial aid, but they can also be a difference between getting accepted at a particular university or not getting accepted. Are they doing a good job on their essays? Do they have a resume? Do they have any community service that they've done that's actually not court ordered? All right. I'll be the only one to laugh at my own joke. I just want to make sure everyone's still with me, okay? What about this? I own a home, so I'm not going to get any financial aid. Is that a myth or reality? That actually could be true. So you've heard the golden rule. Well, there's the one golden rule, but the other definition is the one who has the gold makes the rules. Private schools are not subject to these rules and regulations of the Department of Ed. They're private. They've got the gold, so they get to make their own rules. And this CSS profile, and one of the ones I've already filled out the profile before, but on the profile form, they're like, what's the fair market value of your house? What's the outstanding loan balance of your house? What are they trying to calculate? Home equity, right? And if you have too much home equity, they're going to withhold some financial aid to your child, causing you to find more money from other locations or really causing you to dip into your home equity to pay for school. I know it's not necessarily fair, but don't shoot the messenger. But don't you want to know these things and what number is before you fill out the application and send those financial aid forms? I sure would. For those of you who have done this before, raise your virtual hand. FAFSA. Who's done the FAFSA before? All right. Easy as a four-letter word, EASY. Is that the four-letter word you were used to describe this process? I can see your head shaking through the computer. No, it's not. It's not necessarily quick and simple. Colleges and their financial aid officers may offer help. Is that a myth or reality? I'm going to go with myth here, and here's why. Because a college admissions officer is different than a college financial aid officer, all right? Let's talk about the chair you're currently sitting in. How much does that chair cost at Ohio State University? I told you earlier, you're probably in like a $100 chair you're sitting in watching this webinar. That chair would cost $30,000 at Ohio State University because it's not representative of what it costs. It's representative of the intrinsic value of what it's going to give. Now, that chair at your local community college may only be $5,000. The chair at Duke or Princeton or Yale or Harvard or MIT, it could be a $75,000 chair you're sitting in, and everywhere in between. You submit an application for admissions, guess what? They will do everything in their power to get your child to go to the school, assuming they have the grades, the resume, and everything else is in line. But once your child gets accepted, you get handed off to a college financial aid officer, right? If you've been through this before, exactly what I'm saying. So you get a college financial aid officer. Guess what their job is? First of all, they have a boss, and then they have a boss. It's the chancellor of the university. What does the chancellor of the university ultimately want to see? How big that endowment fund is getting for the university, right? So for the college financial aid officer, this is a unit of revenue. This chair that you're sitting in is a unit of revenue. At the Ivy Leagues, it's $75,000. At state schools, it's around $30,000. At mid-level private colleges, that's $50,000 or $60,000. But don't forget, it's a unit of revenue. So, has this been so helpful so far? Hopefully. Take a look at this. This represents $246 billion. The pie chart represents the $246 billion. The blue is what families on average pay out of pocket every year. Okay, so what is that, about 25%? The red is scholarships. The green is all OPM. Y'all know what I'm talking about with OPM stands for? Other people's money. That's what we need to figure out. How do we get access to OPM? other people's money. So we talked about the golden question, cost of attendance. Write this down because there's a test later. Just kidding. If you fail, you're going to pay too much and send your kid to college. So cost of attendance, which is COA, minus EFC, which is expected family contribution, equals family need. Cost of attendance minus EFC equals family need. Now, I've already talked to you about the different cost of attendances, the different things colleges, tuition, books, room and board. Now, what is an EFC? It's different for every family, I would say. But in the age of the parent, it takes into account the age of the parents, household income of the parents, assets of the parents, the students' ages, how many students are in college, student assets, students' income, what's in their names, everything, right? So the entire formula, and that's really 3 categories of families that we work with. So let's kind of go into category 1. The first category of families, just really there's more month than money sometimes. It's really a struggle. Income's not always where it needs to be. Savings are nowhere close to where they want them to be, maybe even non-existent. Maybe there's some net that we have to take care of. This type of family with a student that has the ability to get accepted to the universities that are applying to, this type of family will qualify for maximum, and I repeat, maximum financial aid need-based dollars. But they still have to submit all the forms 100% accurately and on time. If you don't submit them 100% accurately on time, there could be issues. So if I'm an admissions officer, a financial aid officer, and I'm receiving financial aid forms, and as they come in, there's a stack over here that are done properly. And then there's a stack that to the right that might be missing one item. They're going to put that, stack on, and state on the right form and miss the household income, or maybe you just missed something, misspelled something triggered them to say this is wrong. Which ones do I get them all in? I'm going to process first if I'm the admissions counselors. Obviously, the ones that are done correctly. So I'm going to go back to the family here and say, hey, please correct this form and fill it out. But by the time it may be 6 or 8 weeks later and the majority of the money has already been spoken for, I cannot understate how important it is to get the forms in accurately and on time. Okay, does this make sense? The second category of families that work with, depending on the school, is looking at our state schools, private schools, Ivy League schools. Depending on the schools and depending on how mom and dad have positioned their income, their assets, could be the difference between getting the maximum financial aid dollars and zero financial aid dollars. And it's probably the majority of the people watching this webinar today, because the majority of the people we work with. Don't you want to know what it looks like before sending out applications, before we do financial aid forms, before we get the hopes and dreams up of our children, and before we stress out at night wondering, oh my God, what if my child actually gets accepted? How are we going to pay for it? Does anyone else feel that way? Sure, honey, you can apply. Again, you want to know before going into it. And then we've kind of got the category 3 families. Category 3 families blessed with great income, blessed with great assets. Money's not, for this type of family, is really a problem. So they're probably not going to qualify for what we call need-based financial aid. But they still have to submit all the forms accurately on time, because they too want as much merit-based money as possible. They too want to figure out how to lessen their burden. They might have the ability to pay cash. They might just not want necessarily to have to pay cash if there's anything legally and ethically able to be done for them, right? So in these types of families, we definitely look at CPAs and accountants, because there might be some income tax savings we can take advantage of. If we can save, say, $5, $10, $15, $30,000 a year of income taxes for this type of family, and it was legal and ethical, and CPAs have signed off on it, isn't that like getting a scholarship? You know what? As long as you don't have to pay it back, that's exactly what we're trying to accomplish. All right, now, if you could, in theory, get a free ride, and free rides are really hard to come by, if you could, in theory, get a free ride, and you don't have to pay for college, instead, you take that money you've paid for college and put away in some account, let's just say 6% for 15 years, it would turn into a little over $190,000 available for retirement. Pay the house off, something for you to use that you can actually do something with, as opposed to going to those rich college and universities. Maybe this is not to the extreme, but any amount of money that you don't have to send to the college and in the schools, you're able to use for your next child, maybe pay off debt, pay off the house sooner, anything, use that money for retirement. Can you guys all see how this is a huge issue, a massively huge issue? All right, so we've talked about the FAFSA, and you've already talked about the importance of submitting your accurate and on time. So I've already started to get into this, but the money for colleges can come from about 4 places: the federal government, the state government, the colleges, the universities themselves, or private scholarships. The federal government has already talked about this, and I've talked about this a little bit. There's just not enough money to go around. More than ever in history, there's less aid from the federal government per student enrolled in college in undergraduate admissions. State governments, I should say, are claiming that they're going broke anyway, right? Especially in this crisis, they're all asking for money. So they're more and more saying there's less and less money. We used to have some really cool accessible money from our state government, and that's going away, and it's getting uglier and uglier every year and even every day with this virus. Now with the COVID-19 strain on state and federal resources, this situation's only getting worse. We've already talked about the private scholarships. Let me ask you a question. Has everyone watching here today been out to at least one college campus, driven by a college campus? Obviously, they're ugly. I mean, the ugliest things you've ever seen before. Just kidding. They're beautiful, aren't they? Not even the so-called cool schools are really just beautiful. They're gorgeous. They're well kept. They have money. They don't just want to spend their money. You get it, guys? It's a business. They're in the business of education, but make no mistake about this. They're in the business of getting you to pay as much money out of pocket as possible. But up until now, no one was giving you the insider rules, and we're here to give them to you. So don't forget, beyond the FAFSA, there's the CSS profile. I mentioned it before. Many private schools want you to submit not only the FAFSA form, but the CSS profile form. I like to call it, we called it around the office, the CSS profile is the FAFSA on steroids. This form drills even deeper into your financial situation, the value of business, equity in your home, everything, etc. More importantly, for divorced families, listen closely. These forms are where you may or may not have to disclose the income and assets of a non-custodial parent. It really depends on the school. This is why literally every single family decides to take advantage to meet with us one-on-one to get these exact questions answered. Now remember, before I explain the cost of attendance minus EFC equals family need, and wouldn't it be great if every school is going to meet whatever that family need portion is? Well, unfortunately, not every school meets 100% of family need. Every school will meet a different percentage of family need. If a college doesn't meet 100% of the family need, guess who is stuck paying the tab? You're exactly right, the family. In addition, not all family need met is equal. Understanding what percentage of family need is met is free money like grants or self-help like loans or work study. Let me give you a kind of quick example with the Smith family. Everyone's heard of Vanderbilt, correct? It's in Nashville, Tennessee, beautiful place. The cost of attendance today, and these are kind of new numbers, I think about $73,000 a year to go to Vanderbilt. Awesome school. This family, let's just say, had an expected family contribution when they did all the forms of a little over $9,000. So this formula, when they filled out all the government forms, the government said that they'd be able to pay about $9,000 before financial aid. It's always more than you want it to be. But if I subtract the $9,050 from the about $37,000, it leaves about $64,000 of need left over. That's need they qualify for financial, is family need. Have you ever told your child, we can't look at the school because it costs too much? Have you ever thought it in your head at least? You may change that story after seeing this. Vanderbilt has a history of meeting 100% of need. And that's all free money. It's a grant. None of it's a loan. None of it's a work study program. It's all free money. That's what we're shooting for. So this family's out-of-pocket cost was a little over $9,000 to go to a $73,000 school. Crazy, right? Now let's look at, I live in Ohio. Let's look at Ohio State University. That's why I keep bringing it up. I know it's got the best football team, the best damn band in the country, in the land, but okay, please don't hang up. The cost of attendance at OSU is right about $28,000 a year. I mentioned this before. Using the same math, $9,000 from $28,000, it's about $19,000 of financial need, right? But the problem with a state school, and I'm not just picking on OSU, both my parents, my sisters went there. I actually went to Miami University in Oxford, Ohio, much better school. Just kidding. But they meet only 74% of that need met, which that leaves about $5,000 short of that number. Who's picking up that shortfall? Mom and dad are, and the child is sometimes. The shortfall gets added back into the expected family contribution. So it costs about $14,000 to go to OSU versus $9,000 to go to Vanderbilt. Now, I'm not saying one school is better than the other, but our goal is to give our family options. And guess what? In this example, it would actually cost less to go to much more, 2 to 3 times more expensive school than it would be to a cheap state school. The key here is to not get scared off by the price tag. Also, this is something that's really interesting. Did you know you can negotiate your child's financial aid award offer from each school? Do you know how it's not uncommon for colleges to misaward financial aid packages? I don't want to say it's really intentional, but your family's financials can usually change every year, and they usually do. And don't forget, colleges are using your prior year's tax returns. By the way.
Okay, so I'll just stop here for 1 second because I want to give a couple of more examples here. So I put this here, this family case. This is quite common, especially for the people like middle class, like people here in California, and their children want to consider University of California in-state schools. They also may have chance to go to pretty good, not top-notch private schools. So for this family, their EFC is a $37,000. So you already remember EFC is the expected family contribution. So for Stanford, the need is $43,000, and Stanford, these MIT, those are top-notch schools. They actually have a lot of budget. They actually meet 100% of the family need here. So with that said, on average, the student get a chance to receive the gift aid of $43,000. And in the end, out of pocket for parents is like $37,000 per year. So this will be this case for top private schools. If the student apply for UCs, I like UCs, UC Berkeley, UCLA, they are all top schools. So their cost is much lower. Tag price is $37,000. And as we have in this example, EFC for this family is the same, $37,000. So in that case, there's no financial need, no aid there. So in the end, the family also need to pay $37,000 from their own pocket. So for this example, I was trying to let you know, in some situations, people get scared. They don't apply for top private schools because they think it's too expensive. But there's a chance we can help you to make that happen. So one of the software we use is we call the My Tuition Score. This is a software we can calculate what's your expected family contribution, and we can help you to understand what's your estimated out-of-pocket cost for your college years before you even apply for the college. So you have some ideas in your mind. And also we can help you to look at what's your estimated expected family contribution potentials, which means if we apply some financial strategies, we could potentially reduce your expected family contribution. When we get this number reduced, you get a chance to receive more financial aid and pay less money out of your pocket. So as a result, before you do anything, your EFC is 65, and your out-of-pocket for Stanford might be $66,000. And after we do a lot of financial strategies there, and there's a chance to reduce that number, and your out-of-pocket will be reduced like $40,000 per year. That's a lot of numbers, a lot of things going on. So those are the things we can do more detailed analysis for you once you get into our program. Okay, so we'll continue with the information here.
I kind of already talked about this. This is a business decision for these schools. So they're going to give you a lowball financial aid offer when you finally get your financial aid offer back. Did you know you can appeal that? Obviously, there's a proven method of doing this. And wink, wink, we are experts at this. Most families I speak with, we don't know, we didn't know that. We were going to get the financial aid offer and say, okay, it's not as much as money as we were hoping for, but always remember you can actually appeal and negotiate for a larger offer. I'm not saying it always happens, but you always have the opportunity. Let's also talk about financial aid leveraging. I don't know how many people know about this. According to an old Money Magazine article, 65% of private schools and 27% of public schools engage in financial aid leveraging. This process is used by universities to determine how little, and I'll repeat that, how little aid needs to be awarded to a particular student just to get their student to enroll in the process and to enroll at that school. Again, how little aid. It's the opposite of what most families think. So it is perfectly legal and ethical to make use of the rules and allow you to get more money. Just like we did with standard deductions, itemized deductions, exemptions, the allowances in our tax code, why would you not apply the same rules and thought process to college funding? Don't forget, this is a business transaction. All right, I want you to look at the University of Chicago PDF. Okay, look at the original award offer dated back December 18th, 2017. The total award for the student was about $36,000 per year. Don't get me wrong, most families would be doing cartwheels to get $36,000 of financial aid a year, but don't forget, the University of Chicago costs roughly about $78,000 all in cost of tuition. I know, unreal. Now to the good stuff. After working with our team and allowing us to do our magic, i.e. appeals and negotiations, University of Chicago increased their financial aid award package to over $73,000 per year. Yes, you heard me correctly, per year. That's an increase of over $36,000 of additional award money per year. Without taking the time to watch the financial aid webinar, deciding to take advantage of our free 1-hour consultation, and ultimately engaging our services, this family would have been overcharged by almost $147,000 for college. I made a bad joke to the family that the school would not even name a library after them. They didn't laugh too hard. So if they had done the process on their own, had they taken the initial award offer as gospel, how much money would they have left on the table for 4 years? A tremendous amount of money. Don't forget, you need to know the rules of the game before you play the game. All right, so let's transition and talk a little bit about 529 plans. That's a big question I get from a lot of people.
So before we do that, I give you, we have a lot of financial award every year. So I give you a couple more examples here, and also in the package we ask you to download at the beginning of the webinar. There are also additional financial award packages you can take a look. So for example, this is for USC. It's a great schools. We like those schools, but it's a private school. It's a pretty expensive. So each year the cost is estimated to be $82,000. That's each year's for the cost. And in this original offer, this is a 2021, just last year, the student received $11,000. So their estimated cost is $70,000, right? There's still a lot of money per year if you think about that. So we helped this student to appeal, to use our knowledge to help them out. So this is the result. So just after like a month, the new financial award package arrived. The financial aid, gift aid, is $30,000. So if you compare two numbers, that's a huge savings, like almost about $20,000 per year. So with this new financial award, the out-of-pocket money is about, of course, they can get some student loans and the work study. So the result is like $43,000 per year. So this is much, much more affordable and comparable to the in-state schools. So those are something, not that, what to say, it's like if you don't know how to do it, you probably don't know how to get it. But it's fairly common for the student in our package. Okay, let's continue. So a lot of parents have a 529 plans. So we want to also mention that here.
What about 529 plans? Are they cracked up? Are they all they're cracked up to be? What are so-called benefits? How do they affect financially? These are all the questions we get all the time. There are many benefits to the 529 plan, but as most people have seen during this COVID-19 crisis, even the most conservative 529 plans are at risk to the market volatility. In addition, every school treats the value of the distribution of these plans differently in regards to financial aid qualification. The FAFSA traditionally treats it as a parent asset, but colleges that use the CSS profile can treat it any way they see fit. Think about it from their point of view. let's say you have two students looking for financial aid, and one student has $75,000 and a 529, and one student has zero. Which student do you think they're going to be giving a larger financial aid package to? I know it's not a fair process, but don't forget, this is a business. I'm not telling you to go home and blow up your 529 plans and put in a tin can in the backyard. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is make sure you have someone competent in understanding the rules and regulations of 529 plan distributions, because they're not all they're cracked up to be. Again, we know families who use them quite a bit. Sometimes it works, other times it doesn't. It's just a case-by-case situation. So let's go a little bit more into tax laws. I'm sure everyone on the webinar is completely up to speed on every single tax law that exists in our code. But you have to understand how these complicated tax laws and regulations impact financial aid, right? It's crucial. Tax law is different than financial aid forms and financial aid process. So it can be a crazy confusion. Add confusion and complication to the entire process. But we want to make sure, for example, what are your restrictions on using IRAs, for an example, for college expenses? Do we all know that? I'm sure we all know that, right? Should you refinance your home to pay a college loan off? Does that make sense? Do you make too much money to qualify for that lifetime learning tax credit? Did you even know what that even was? All of these things are important when it comes to your individual situation based on the schools your child is looking at. So what can you do? How not to become a casualty? Well, number one, when should you have started doing this? In my opinion, 17 years ago. Yes, exactly right. The day your kids were born. There's a proverb that says the best time to plant a tree was many years ago, but the second best time is now. The only time it's too late for college funding services and college planning is senior year of your student's college career. Senior year of college. We may be too late to get every semester at a low cost, but if we can get other semesters at a low cost, you're still saving money, right? We should have started doing this a long time ago. Having a freshman in high school is probably what I would say the right time to leisurely pace through, and not everything has to get crammed in. But that being said, we can still do a lot of good for rising seniors in high school. It's not too late. Believe me when I tell you, most of our clients will bring on this year are rising sophomores, juniors, and rising seniors in high school. Current juniors, sophomores, and freshmen are ideal. Now is the best time. I don't know a better way of putting this. There's a baseline. This starts the process. So where's your kid at? What kind of school should they be looking at? Is it now time to build up their resume, their extracurricular activities, their volunteer work? You know, all those things that become important in the college financial aid admissions process. So let's put it this way. If you're going to have someone help you out with these things, you must ask them these questions. Can you show me how to lower my expected family contribution and maximize my opportunity for aid? Can you help me pick the right schools and give me the lowest out-of-pocket cost for me and my family? Can they help you fill out all the financial aid forms, or even in better, actually do the financial aid forms for you, outsource it to them with no mistakes? And not, is that something you can negotiate for on your own, or are they going to be able to help you with that? I guess the way I look at it is, can they negotiate? When you get that award offer in your hands, are they able to do that for you? But when you get a low initial financial aid offer, and then you will, what and who will you turn to? Can they be that help? Don't worry. If you make too much money, or you think you make too much money, please don't make the mistake of leaving other people's money on the table. Even if it's federal government money, don't leave it on the table. There's other things we can do. We can do merit-based services for your child. We can try to do cash flow strategies. There's no such thing as making too much money. I keep saying that. So what are your options? You can do it on your own, and the colleges and universities will love you for doing it on your own, just like every other family in history has done. You could let your accountant do it for you, but most accountants and CPAs will tell you they don't want to be in that business. It's a completely different mindset, train of thought, skill set, etc. But if you own a business, we need you to bring your CPA in the conversation, try to maximize deductions and things like that. It's extremely important to have everyone on your team to be on the same page. Don't forget, you need a team. You're about to pay $100,000 to $300,000 per student. How can you not put together a team to help you for this?
Okay, thank you, Adam. So those are the things you want to ask if you are going to get help from a college funding specialist. So you want to ask what exactly they will do for you, what kind of guarantees, and when is the right time to do the planning, and what's a timeline for you. And those are the things you want to make sure you have that. And they will do the pick the best school for your family, fill out the forms line by line, and also negotiate with the schools. So we understand it's so important to eliminate the administrative nightmare, because this can bring numerous chances for errors, and it will also impact the overall process. So we're here, we actually have this integrated process, and we eliminate those details, and we do financial forms line by line for you, and we integrate this financial and the student admission side, and we do a lot of things just help you to make sure it will be achieved by the end of that. And we also guarantee there's your satisfaction. If you are not happy about that for any reasons, we'll be happy to refund your fee prorated. And that's what we want to bring to you. That's also our program name. We call it Peace of Mind College Planning Process, because we know it's hard, it's stressful for students and families. So we want to be the team with you. It's a stressful process, but with our experience and the guidance, we want to make sure you get the best for your students and for your family. You get the most possible financial aid and scholarship and the most efficient financial fundings, and also get your student to their dream schools. So if you want to know what has college costs and what are potential strategies you can use for your college funding, and you want to understand more about what's the best fit college for your student and how we help your student to achieve their goals. So we have this free consultation for you, but because we do have a very tight schedules, and today we actually have over 400 parents. They came to the meeting tonight. So we want to make sure you sign up a calendar schedule today. And we want to also make sure you have both parents or most important decision makers in the meeting. And if you are interested in student admission side, like how our counselor helps the student to choose right schools, right majors, to provide guidance to them, we want your student also be in the meeting, maybe for the first 10 minutes, so we can talk to your student about that. And if you have so any specific questions, personal questions about your family, about your situation, you are happy to chat with us. We are happy to provide answers as well. And one of the 3 results you will get from this free consultation. So first, we talk about you can ask your questions. We can we can get answers for you if it's brief, right? And also maybe you realized you are behind in a lot of this process. You want us to help you on something where we will be happy to be your team player and to work with you together. And for sometimes, actually most of the times when we meet and we ask you a lot of questions to understand about your kids, parents, and you realize, oh, it might be easier for us to help you for overall planning and to take one of our comprehensive packages. We're happy to do that to you too. Okay, so we talk a lot of things. We also talk about, we have this software, we can help you to do these calculations for EFC and your estimated college costs. So this website is called My Tuition School. If you get on it, it's $79. But when you sign up for our free consultation, we are happy to provide a VIP code for you so you can use that freely. So there's a lot of offerings. And I think my assistant already put the appointment schedule in the chat box. If you want to schedule a time, I already got like a 10 appointments already. You can go ahead to do that while I want to play a few videos to you. Those are the feedback from some of our parents I want to share with you.
I know we met about 2 years ago through the online program, and then you joined the Gold program since then, and we helped you last year, and I also went to your home to visit you. You have a beautiful home, and today I want to use this opportunity to ask your feedback.
Yeah, no, I think it's been really wonderful. We started out with the program, like you said, with just more of an introductory service, and then you were able to help us do more once our son did get into college, and to help pay for it, which has been absolutely a lifesaver. And you've been super personable. It was so nice to meet you and welcome you into our home. It was nice you made that trip. And you're very accessible. Anytime we need any help, I can just shoot you a quick text and you respond quickly. And very helpful when you pull up the different tools on the Zoom, and we can look at it together and work through it. So we've been really pleased, both my husband and myself.
Those are all appointment in the start here. So this,
I know.
Okay, let's go. So I just want to mention a couple of things. So this is from a parent we actually helped so much. This parent went to, this student got accepted by a very excellent public school, but out of state, quite expensive, more than they can imagine. And so we did do a lot of financial planning, figure out the best solution for them. So that's this parent. Even nowadays, after their student already went to school a couple of years, they still chat about their finance situations with me, like once in a while. So this is another parent and a student who just want to play with you too.
All pretty good schools and offer me a lot of financial aid. It's all thanks to Dr. Sherry and the Palm team for helping us get this far. Really grateful. I want to study aerospace engineering. I've always been interested in flying objects, things like that. So I'm hoping maybe I can study aerospace engineering and later in the future, maybe get a job involving space or something. Yes, like I've gotten my chosen majors in all my schools, so it's really nice.
Good job, William.
Thank
Congratulations. Now let's share the joy with the mom. Annie, how you think about that?
Oh, I think appreciable you guys help. It's a lot of help.
Yeah, this is a student actually got into aerospace engineering, got so excited. And I'm so happy for them. Actually, every time I say this, I've seen this like a lot of times. I just feel a piece of accomplishment. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I have my own children about the high school age as well. And I just started doing this because I wanted to help my own children and the children in my community. Later on, I just expand this services to people in the whole country. We have students from all different states, different places. And every end of the summer, like the end of the spring, people started to tell me the good news about where they have been and ask me help for the finance and give me a lot of appreciation. I really found that's really the dream work I can do is to help families.
All pretty good schools.
Give one more thing from parents.
It has been a good experience for us working with Beyond Academy and your team. Initially, we signed up for the financial planning package. After working with your team and you, we understood that the value which your team is providing is pretty good, and that's why. And my son also got enrolled in some of the programs which you are offering. Some of your team members really did a great job. They were very responsible, meaning they were responding the next day and all to all the questions we had. Felt like you have a really good team which is working and supporting everyone who through this college admission process.
Yeah, so this parent actually live pretty close to me, and we are still like friends right now. They moved to a new home, and we just are so happy for their family financially, and also their child got into their dream schools. Dream major is like computer science, the best major ever. It's so good. So we get a lot of things covered. Let's say we do have a different package in order to make our process efficient and the most cost effective. So for parents who only need financial help, we call it the gold package. And for the gold package, we help you everything on the college funding. Like we help you estimate the cost and to figure out what's your expected family contributions and what's the best strategy for you to get the most possible financial aid scholarship, and how you prepare for your college funding flow is the most efficient way. So this is the one thing you need to do as early as possible. That's the one thing we talk about as early as possible, because you know the future expense, the strategy you can have a most leverage on that. And then my staff will also help you fill out the required forms, FAFSA, CSS, additional forms, and they will help you to evaluate your financial award letters. And when they think there's a chance to get more financial aid, they'll help you to do an appeal and a negotiation with the college. So there's a lot of process. Also, there's a personalized scholarship search for your student as well. So that's everything about money you have here. But once you get into our package, you do get access to our free platforms. We do have a leadership platform. It's a lot of help for the student who look for additional leadership trainings or advice on those things. And most family actually we recommend to get into Ruby package, because Ruby has a finance everything we talk about gold package, and additional help to the student for student admissions. We'll go more details for the next page. Sorry. Okay, so for the Ruby package, as we talk about, we do cover a lot of information to give guidance on your students, like what's the requirement for GPA and what classes to choose, what's the advice there, and what's their interest, skills, and what's their choices, recommendation for the career. And we have we give advice on actual curriculum, summer programs, right? Leadership trainings. We give advice on those things, and we help with the college research and the campus visits. We help you to decide on the colleges you want to apply for, and we give advice on PTST, ACT, SAT tests. So we actually have 16 weeks of free online service. We can provide to you like the tests practice for SAT, ACT here. It's very helpful there. And for your specific applications, essays, right? For college application, there's essays. Our counselor will help you to review your writing, the students' writing there, and give advice on what's the best way to do your application package. And we give a lot of help along the way for whatever the question you have about the college planning. And we also help everything we said about college fundings. So actually families save so much money normally on average from the college finance we provide advice on, and that much more than the total cost they pay for the packages here. So that's additional leadership opportunities. We do help students to look for those things. Like I'm city council member, I'm elected officer myself, but I also work with a lot of leaders. And for example, this is a Fremont mayor. She's going to be a senator if she got elected. And we do help her to get interns, and we get students to get these public services leadership opportunities. So this is an event we had with our student, with the mayor and the future senator. So we'll say this: a goal without a plan is just a wish. And we want to be your team player. We want to be your guidance here to help you to reach your goals. And here's the link. I already heard like 50 clicks there. So if you haven't set up an appointment with me, you can use this link. This is very easy to use. And if you want to change time, you can use the same link, same email you received to change your appointment, reschedule it, or cancel it very conveniently. So each appointment is about 30 minutes because we do get really busy. And we want to make sure you get a chance, but you also do it efficiently. So with that said, we are happy to take some questions. I see a lot of questions in Q&A and the chat. So Rosalie, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, thank you. So I'll stop sharing. So I would like you to host this Q&A for maybe a few minutes here.
Sure. So I will a lot of the questions we've gotten have been on pricing and fees. So I thought I would jump in with that. As Dr. Sherry mentioned, we have several different pricing packages available. She had mentioned the Ruby, which is our all-encompassing package. We do have a gold package as well. And today we're offering a special discount of $200 off of whatever package you choose. So for instance, the Ruby package, which is very comprehensive and most popular for our college planning program. It has all the bells and whistles Sherry had talked about. That is a one-time cost of $4,000. So if you start when your child is a freshman, you're paying $4,000. If you're starting when your child is a junior or senior, the cost is still $4,000. It's a one-time cost. Of course, we would work with you on flexible payment options and things like that. If you took advantage of the discount, that brings it down to $3,800. So if you take an average of starting when your child is early in high school, that is roughly $100 a month that you would be paying. If it was later, it would be $200 a month. And as we mentioned, you know, on average, we save families $83,000, which is a lot more than what you would be paying out. We also have the gold package, which runs about $1,700. Sorry about that. We have the gold package, which runs $1,700. With today's discount, that would bring it down to $1,500. And that is the whole cost for your the funding options for your child's education. So you're not paying that fee every year. It is a one-time fee. And then we do have, you know, the platinum package and some other things based on your specific situation. So I just wanted to go over pricing. The earlier you start, the more you get out of it. We also had some questions. This is more for Sherry. We got a question that says, does applying for financial aid after accepting or attending a university typically result in a lower offer from the university?
Yeah, this is a very good questions. So a lot of parents have this, not a lot, but some parents have this thought. They thought applying for college will jeopardize their children's admission. Actually, no. For most schools, we call it a decoupled process. So what that does mean is when the admission officer look at students' applications, they won't consider financial situations. It's a blended process. So they will just decide whether to admit the student based on their academic, extracurriculum, and the whole student related information there, not about finance. And after they admit the student, they will put this house of student to the financial aid officers, and then financial aid officers will decide on the financial aid, scholarship, or any opportunities for the students. So for most schools, no. For the majority of schools.
Great, thank you. Another question, are gifts from colleges considered taxable income to the parent or the student?
This is a very good question. So it's to the students. So it's to the students, not to the parents. It's a taxable or not taxable. I need to do more research on this, but I believe it's counted as income for the students. But in most of the cases, your students don't make much money, so they probably don't need to pay much tax on that.
We also had a couple questions. I'll try to combine them regarding how many college counselors we have and how are they matched with a student. And are there any counselors who speak Spanish?
So the first question is, we do have like 20 counselors overall in my organization, but I do work with other organizations in our industry in case we need additional assistance from them. We have a partnership there. And another question is, how we match the counselors. So our counselors are all experienced with students. And so in most cases, we do look at the counselors. For example, if they have worked a lot for a student in California, in different districts, we do match that. So they get a little bit more familiarity. But the process is a very standard process we use. And then our counselors are very experienced. So most students, they do like our counselors. I know a lot of parents, they have that concerns at the beginning, but once they had a couple of meetings, they all like counselors so much. So third question about Spanish speaking counselors. I'm so sorry, right now we don't have a Spanish speaking counselors at this moment. But I'll keep your comments in mind and I'll think about that. Thank you.
Another question. We talk a lot about placing kids in Ivy League schools. Can you talk about maybe some of the experience or what programs would be best for students who want to go to either a community college or just a general state school?
Yeah, so yes, we did have a lot of students go to top large schools, but we also have actually more students just go to in-state schools, right? Like the public schools here, and we have students also go to community colleges. So overall, I just want to cover like our purpose is to make the best out of your student's situation, to help your student and your family to achieve your dreams. Not every student gets a chance to go to Ivy League. I have to admit that, because even you get a perfect GPA, your student have a 10 APs, did a lot of clubs, actual curriculum. That doesn't mean you will get a chance to go to Stanford, Harvard. The reason is just that they only have so much, so many spaces available. And even your top student, you may not get a chance to go. That's okay. That's okay. We just do our best and maximize your chances. So in the past, we do have many students are lucky enough, work hard enough, got into top schools. We also, as we covered, most students got into public school, in-state schools, other private schools as well.
Great. Are you familiar with specific financial aid resources for students with IEPs?
Because I'm not just myself, I do have 4 or 5 financial aid counselors who's working with me. So I'm sure some of them will have that experience. For myself specifically, That's not my expertise. That's my colleagues' expertise.
Great. Do universities gift aid for families by major, or how is the money divided?
Yeah, so this is the topic we talk about today, right? So they look at your EFC, and they look at how much budget their school has and how many applicants, and then they'll decide. So they normally do not specifically look at the majors. They may look at your family finance specifically, and also your academic achievement for scholarship.
Great. When is the best time to take the SAT exam?
Yeah, so those are the questions, very unique for each student, and also it's comprehensive. I have to say, you have to think about what the schools your student is applying for, and you know where they are now. They need to have a certain skills before they take SAT, and if they want to get really high scores, they need to have a plan over there. So our council will help your student to decide what's best for your student.
Awesome. Those are a majority of the questions. If we didn't get to one of your questions, it may have been that it was very, very specific. So I would highly recommend that you schedule an appointment with Dr. Sherry and or her team.
Thank you very much, Rosalie.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
team. Thanks, everybody, and you have a great weekend. Bye-bye.